In this video, we're going to go over the top 3 things that need to be in College Football 26 Dynasty mode. So I do believe College Football 26 is going to be a very good game, but it's some things that's absolute going to be deal breakers for me, and then also probably you. If y'all have anything, please comment it down below. Let me know y'all thoughts down below. If y'all do enjoy the content, like, comment, subscribe. We're live streaming over on Twitch tonight doing our Auburn rebuild, as y'all see on the screen, so tap in. So the first thing that needs to be in this game, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit nervous that it won't be in the game because in the demo it wasn't in there, and that's going to be some sort of NIL, really the whole rev share, man. As a lot of you guys know, the judge made the decision on the house settlement, and now schools can share their actual revenue with student athletes, so NIL will look a lot different, you know. And the reason it probably won't be in this video game because it literally got approved 3-4 days ago, maybe 5 days ago at this point, and it's tough for the video game to put it in when the game comes out in a month, less than a month at this point. But also, we knew this settlement was coming for weeks, months. We knew this was coming. So if EA is smart, and they are a smart company, they would have included that in the video game to where, you know, it's some sort of rev share, man. And a lot of people won't like that because it's going to make it feel like kind of like Madden with a salary cap. But the way it kind of should work, you know, every, you know, SEC team or Big Ten teams, a lot of these big programs will be able to share up to $20.5 million in revenue with their student athletes, and it's broken down by sport. So football will probably get 18 to 16 million, but obviously if you're in one of the smaller conferences, that number goes down. So therefore, it should be some system where you could pay your players. And I understand a lot of people will not like this, man. This is the reality of the sport, man. When I'm looking at this screen right here, I should see 16 million, 18 million, whatever, something, man, some way that the players are getting actual rev share, and then NIL could be completely different. I made a whole NIL budget on Google spreadsheet that you could use for your dynasty, man. It works very good. I'll show y'all that in a second. And I made that in like an hour or two. EA is this massive company. They could figure out how to put it in the game. All you gotta do is put a setting on it. If you're the guy that don't want rev share in your game at all, don't want to deal with it because you just want to be like original college football, guess what? Put that setting in the game where you could just toggle it on, toggle it off. That's what 2K do. They do a great job of just putting all these extra settings in the game. But for me personally, if NIL is not in the game at all, if rev share, if one of the two is not in the game at all, that's almost a complete failure to me because it plays such a huge role in real life. Such a huge role, man. It's no longer about, you know, the school that could put the most players in the league or, you know, about winning. A lot of it is about the money for a lot of these players. And when we're recruiting, that should be the reality. Some of these players should only care about how much money you could pay them. And I know it sounds bad. That's the reality of the sport, man. So it got to be in a game some way or somehow. Or I think it would be a big disappointment. And like I said, it's so quick. It's so quick because it just passed. But they should have been prepared for this day. All right, man, let's quickly come over here to the Google Doc and just show y'all how I put NIL in the game and how it really shouldn't be that difficult for a massive company like EA to implement it some way, somehow. Whether it's NIL, rev share, something got to be in the game, man. So pretty much I gave each player allowance, pretty much how much they should get paid based on their star rating. You could also do it based on their overall. Overall probably would make a little bit more sense. You know, as you know, players every year they'll, you know, players get paid a little bit differently. So if you are a star player and you come in as a 2-star, by the time you're a star player, maybe your junior year, you'll get more money. But I did it by star rating here, and like I said, this could easily be changed. And this is pretty much how much each school are allowed to pay their players. And this is just NIL. This wasn't rev share. So a 5-star school got a $40 million budget. For a quarterback, for a quarterback that's a 5-star, it costs $5 million. For you know, 5-star player in general, it costs $3 million, man. Quarterbacks obviously get paid a little bit more. Then also, you know, you're able to implement every single player into your own document. And, you know, it kind of got you your total roster budget down here. And our budget here was a $25 million budget, and we just hit under the budget. You know, just some a cool way to implement another element to your dynasty. So obviously, it needs to be in the game, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but I'm standing on it. So the next thing that needs to be in Dynasty, I'm going to group kind of two things together because they're a little bit similar. The first one is to be able to bring your recruiting class, your senior recruiting class, over to Madden. We got to be able to import it, man, and I get it. With the NIL players, you can't import any of those guys, but when you're 4 or 5 years in the future and every single player is auto-generated, you should be able to implement those guys. You should be able to import those guys over to Madden. That's a no-brainer for me, man. It brings a whole nother element to your dynasty. And, for a guy like me that really didn't play Madden this last year, well, if I'm able to bring a draft class over, now I might actually, play a little bit more Madden. You might actually have more people buy Madden because a lot of people this year just said they're going to get College Football 26 and they're not going to touch Madden, especially a lot of college football players, man. Me personally, I'll get Madden just because I hope it's better. From everything we're hearing, it should be better. But that got to be in the game, man. Being able to import a draft class over to Madden, and also being able to build your own draft class, or recruiting class. Build your own recruiting class, build your own recruit. What is the harm in that, man? Let us build a draft class. Let's build a recruiting class, man. Could be super fun, super entertainment, man. If I want to build a 5-star and, have them from whatever state, I want to build a generational guy and put him in every single recruiting class. We may never recruiting, but just have the option to be in there. Also, another thing that's popped in my head, I'm going to mention it, generational recruits. Real generational recruits, man. Guys like Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, that's going to come in at a 90 overall as a true freshman. Stuff like that also needs to be in College Football 26, but we'll see. Anyone that played the demo, what's the highest overall freshman y'all seen in the demo, man? What's the highest overall? Because I'm curious if we will actually have generational recruits. So have y'all seen anyone like in the upper 80s? Because in this current game, 25, the highest I've seen probably is like 84, 85. So I'm just wondering if we'll have actual generational recruits or if y'all even seen any at this point while playing the demo. Another thing that we need in the game, and this is going to be the last one for you guys, man. And a lot of people won't like this. Same like with the first one. A lot of people will not like this. We need decommits. I haven't heard anything about decommits. The deep dive should come next week or the following. I haven't heard anything about decommits, man. Y'all played the demo. When y'all was playing the demo, have any of y'all players decommitted? And like I said, it's frustrating when you get a 5-star for this reason or the third reason, and he ends up decommitting and going to your rivals before he even, gets on campus. Guess what? It happens in real life far too often. A lot of the reasons behind that is NIL money. That's honestly a lot of reasons behind it in real life, but not always the case. Sometimes players decommit because you're doing bad. And that should be the reality. If, they care about championship contender, they should decommit if you're having a bad season. If they want to go pro and, you're not actually putting guys in NFL, maybe they decommit mid-season because they see the program is looking downhill. Stuff like that. Also, wins and losses should matter a lot more with recruiting. In a video game, it didn't seem like it this past year unless they cared about championship contender. That's the only way wins or losses played an impact. Obviously, if you had a guy on a visit and you won, that played a big impact. But other than that, wins and losses should definitely play an impact on every single recruit, especially if you beat a big-time school. Don't matter if they care about championship contender or not. That should have a big impact on any recruit that you're going after, man. So, got to figure out how to implement decommits in the game. And obviously, they said the transfer portal is going to be a little bit more random, unpredictable. Thousands of players entering is, the language they used. From hearing people talk about the demo, they were saying the transfer portal the first year was good. After you simmed a couple seasons, they were saying the transfer portal kind of got dry. That's what I heard. Y'all let me know. I ain't get to play the demo, man. I'm blackballed. But that's what I heard, Heard the transfer portal get a little bit dry, just like in this current video game. When that first year transfer portals, you'll have 5-stars in there. You'll have Caleb Downs. Sometimes you'll get Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith. Some real good players entering the portal the first year in College Football 25. But after, year 2, year 3, year 4, the transfer portal kind of dies. And from what I heard, it seems like that happens in College Football 26 from everyone that played the demo so far. But also implement when you're recruiting a guy, have it be a way that you know he might decommit. Like maybe you could see his personality trait, and his personality trait directly impacts like if he will enter the portal or not. For example, if his personality trait is unpredictable, well, guess what? He might decommit, or he might enter the transfer portal super early on you, compared to if his personality trait is like a leader. Well, you might know that's a guy that's probably not going to look to decommit when you first recruit him out of high school, or he probably won't transfer out. So maybe have that personality trait for guys that you actually put on your roster, or that you actually scout. You scout here, you get to see their abilities, mental, physical, all that, their attributes. Well, make it a section where you just see the personality trait, and that lets you know. Because if I see he's unpredictable, that might be a guy I won't even recruit, because I know it's a potential for him to decommit or transfer out. And in real life, when you're recruiting, where you're scouting guys in real life, well, you get to know them on a personal level, and you get to get like an understanding of, okay, this might be a guy that might leave us after a year or two because he's really in it for the money. You get to actually have these conversations with players, and you see what their real motivations are. So just have it some way for us to, tell what type player we're getting, whether he's loyal or he's not loyal. Just some feature like that would be super cool. That's all I got for y'all boys, man. If y'all enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, man. Like I said, we over on Twitch tonight, probably as y'all watching the video. I'm probably live right now, man. Other than that, let me know y'all thoughts down below. Anything that needs to be in Dynasty or College Football 26, and we on to the next one. Appreciate y'all.